You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
All aboard?
There's a moment in Red Dead Redemption 2 where Arthur Morgan finally admits something most men spend their whole lives trying to hide. Not anger, not toughness, not pride, fear. And honestly, I think that's why so many men connect with him. People say Arthur Morgan is masculine because he's dangerous, because he can fight, because he handles pain without complaining. But I don't think that's the real reason men see themselves in him. I think men connect with Arthur because he's tired. Tired of carrying things, tired of surviving, tired of losing pieces of himself, tired of becoming someone he barely recognizes anymore. And the older I get, the more I realize a lot of men are walking around feeling exactly like that. Not evil, not heartless, not broken beyond repair. Just exhausted. And underneath that exhaustion is something a lot of us don't want to look at. Regret. Not just regret over what happened to us, but regret over who we became while trying to survive it. That's what makes Arthur Morgan such a powerful character. Because his story isn't really about cowboys or outlaws. It's about a man realizing that the life keeping him alive is also destroying his soul. And for a lot of men, that realization hits way too close to home. Arthur grew up in violence. Violence shaped him. The gang shaped him. Survival shaped him. And over time, he became the kind of man who stopped questioning things. You do what needs to be done. You keep moving. You stay loyal. You bury how you feel. You don't slow down long enough to think about what any of it is doing to you internally. A lot of men live exactly like that. We get hurt early, then life teaches us. Keep going anyway, so we do. We become dependable, useful, protective, functional, but emotionally, we slowly disappear. That's the part people don't talk about enough. Sometimes men don't become emotionally distant because they don't care. Sometimes we become emotionally distant because somewhere along the line, feeling too much became dangerous. And after enough disappointment, enough betrayal, enough loss, enough pressure, you stop asking yourself, am I happy? And start asking, what do I need to do to get through the day? That's survival mode. And survival mode changes people. I know it changed me. There were periods in my life where I wasn't really living. I was existing. Wake up. Go to work, fake being okay. Come home exhausted. Distract myself. Repeat. And eventually you realize you're not even enjoying the things you used to love anymore. You're just trying to stay numb long enough to make it to tomorrow. That's why Arthur feels real, because underneath all the toughness, you can tell he's emotionally exhausted. Not weak, exhausted. There's a difference. I think one of the hardest things for men is realizing time matters. Because when we're younger, we think we'll eventually fix everything. We'll apologize later, open up later, heal later, become better later. But then life keeps moving. People leave, relationships end, parents age, friends disappear, dreams quietly die in the background while you're busy surviving. And one day you wake up realizing you can't get certain years back. That's Arthur Morgan. His entire story changes once he realizes he's running out of time. And suddenly all the things he ignored start becoming heavier. The people he hurt, the life he lived, the man he became. That kind of regret is brutal because it doesn't just attack your past, it attacks your identity. It makes you ask, was I a good man? Did I waste my life? Did I become the thing I never wanted to be? A lot of men are carrying questions like that quietly, especially men who've been through loss, because loss changes you. Sometimes permanently. After enough pain, you stop recognizing yourself. You become colder, more guarded, less trusting, less hopeful. And maybe people around you don't notice it right away, but you do. You notice how hard it is to open up now, how quick you are to isolate, how emotionally disconnected you've become. You notice that survival hardened you into someone you never planned on becoming. That realization hurts, not because men expect perfection from themselves, but because deep down, most men wanted to be good. That's the tragedy of Arthur Morgan. Underneath everything, he wanted to be good too. I don't think most men are afraid of pain. I think we're afraid the pain changed us permanently. That's different. A lot of men secretly wonder, what if I can never become who I used to be again? What if the betrayal permanently damaged my ability to trust? What if the loss permanently damaged my ability to love? What if years of survival permanently damaged my ability to feel connected to people? That fear is real. And honestly, I think that's why so many men emotionally isolate themselves. Because isolation feels safer than disappointment. If nobody gets close to you, nobody can hurt you. But there's a cost to living like that. You survive, but you stop feeling alive. Arthur understood that eventually. That's why some of the quietest moments in the game hit harder than the action scenes. Not the gunfights, not the chaos, the conversations. The moments where you realize this is a man carrying years of emotional weight with nowhere to put it. And I think a lot of men know exactly what that feels like. Being the strong one, the dependable one, the composed one, while internally feeling completely exhausted. Here's the part of Arthur's story that matters most to me. Redemption did not erase his past, and I think that's important. A lot of people think redemption means becoming perfect. It doesn't. Arthur couldn't undo the people he hurt. He couldn't undo the violence. He couldn't undo wasted years. But he could still choose who he wanted to be moving forward. That matters. Because a lot of men think, I've been angry too long. I've made too many mistakes. I've become too cold. There's no fixing me now. That mindset destroys people. Because once a man believes redemption is impossible, he stops trying entirely. But redemption isn't about pretending the past never happened. It's about refusing to let the worst parts of your pain define the rest of your life. That's what Arthur finally understood. For maybe the first time in his life, he stopped thinking only about survival and started thinking about meaning. About protecting people, helping people, telling the truth, trying to leave something better behind. Even while carrying regret. And honestly, that's probably the most realistic version of redemption there is. Not clean, not perfect, not cinematic. Just a tired man deciding, maybe I can still do some good before this is over. I think that's why Arthur Morgan resonates with so many men. Not because he's fearless, but because he's human. He's a man trying to figure out whether pain ruined him, or whether there's still enough good left in him to become something better. And I think a lot of men are fighting that same battle quietly. Especially the men who feel emotionally exhausted. The men carrying regret. The men who think they wasted years of their lives. The men trying to survive grief, betrayal, loneliness, anger, or disappointment. A lot of us are harder than we wanted to become. But maybe that doesn't have to be the end of the story. Maybe redemption isn't becoming perfect. Maybe redemption is just being honest enough to admit, this pain changed me. But I don't want it to turn me into someone incapable of love, compassion, or peace. Maybe it's choosing to become softer without becoming weak. Maybe it's deciding the cycle stops with you. And maybe, like Arthur Morgan, the most important thing a man can do isn't outrun his past. It's face it honestly before time runs out.